Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, sponsored by SBK as usual. And as usual, you have your regular pundits in Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount to guide you through this weekend's best bets. And we have an awful lot to cover yet again this weekend, but we have the return of jump racing. And as you can see, Mr. Mount himself has donned his tweed for this podcast, so he's fully getting into the swing of a national hunt season, as are we all. We have 5 scheduled races from Cheltenham to cover, but of course there is the Group 1 Vertem Futurity Trophy Stakes at Doncaster, which will hopefully give us some classic clues for next season. There are 2 further races at Doncaster, as well as 2 races at Newbury to cover as well. So very busy weekend for everyone involved. We're going to hopefully get through this as quick as possible. So I'm just going to briefly cover our winners from last week, because we had a pretty good weekend. All in all, we had Trushan winning at even money for Andrew. We have Creative Force, the best horse in the world, I don't care what anyone says, winning for Kate Tracey at 11-2. Daryl, of course, siding with Creative Force as well. And the pair of Daryl and I teamed up for Baid to win as well, selecting him at 2-1, and he ran out a very impressive winner. And Daryl also had Senior Citizen at 9-2 as well. So Daryl had a very good weekend himself last weekend. Hopefully we'll keep the ball rolling even this weekend. So without further ado, I better shut up. We better crack on with some of these races to cover as well. So we're going to begin at Cheltenham, and we're going to start with a 0-140 conditional jockeys handicap hurdle over 2 miles at 145, where we have a hot favourite at the head of the market in Samarid for Paul Nichols. And you're basically getting an each way price about any of the other runners. So at this stage of the season, in a conditional jockeys handicap hurdle over 2 miles, in the opening race of Cheltenham's first meeting back, he's surely worth taking on at that price, isn't he, Andrew?
Very much so. Well, saying that, he's won on the long short list of 5 runners. And thank you for not calling me a tweed wanker as well. I really
so, I was going to say that.
We'll give it to you first meeting. Maybe the November meeting, I might revert to that.
Yeah. After all the comments about how well turned out you are, Kate, and how Daryl and I look like we've slept rough, I thought I'd make the effort. So, yeah, this is an interesting race to kick off with. Now, we've got 16 runners, and only 5 of them have got jockeys on who are able to reduce the weight of their mounts by 3 or more pounds. Now, every single winner in the last 10 years has had a jockey who's been able to do so. So those who've not been able to claim because of the conditions of this race are 0 from 36. So if you apply that stat, you rule out 11 runners, leaving Samarid, Nordic Combined, Blacko, Samba Dancer, and Byzantine Empire. So I'm going to go for Blacko, who caught the eye on a number of occasions when trained by Alan King. He's changed hands now with Evan Williams, who does well with horses he takes over from other yards at the first time of asking, particularly in handicaps. I mean, this horse was 5-1 joint favourite for the Fred Winter a couple of years ago. He's 12. He pulled up, but since then he's had a wind operation, and he's £12 lower this time around. I think he'll appreciate the big field and a likely strong pace here. So Blacko for me around about 16-1.
Yep, 16-1 on my showing, at least anyway. Number 8 there, Blacko for Evan Williams, to hopefully make an impact on his stable debut after leaving Alan King. So very good shout early on. Daryl, yourself, please, for our first race.
I didn't like that stat from Andrew because mine doesn't claim. Ingleby Hollow is the horse that I was looking at. I'm not completely writing off this favourite. He's a young 4-year-old, unbeaten so far, but he could improve and turn out to be anything really. But the race at Kempton, it was 24 lengths slower than Hydro playing on the card. So he needs to prove he can handle a big field at Cheltenham. Hustle and bustle, probably a stronger pace this time around. Very inexperienced. Yeah, anyway, Ingleby Hollow was the horse I was looking at. Beating the head and the neck the last twice, staying on really strongly at the death. Thought this horse was crying out for a real test of stamina or a stiffer track. He'll get that here at Cheltenham. It's big eye catcher off £4 lower. Behind Stonific, actually, the horse that Andrew tipped in the market race and summer hurdle, just got snatched up in the final 100 yards. Was coming with a real strong late burst. I thought his mark was fair, soft ground. If the rain has gotten into the ground, because we have had a lot of rain, it was good to firm. It's now good. But if it's got into the ground and it starts getting a bit tacky, he won't mind that. He was a soft ground winner at Doncaster. Pretty unexposed, really. Revelation since tongue-tied cheek pieces went on. I think this sort of test could suit him. So Ingleby Hollow for me.
Wonderful. And another each way price there as well, around 10 to 1 on my showing at current time of recording as well. They're for number 6, Ingleby Hollow. And I'm actually going with one of my better bets of the day in this first race. I really didn't think I would be citing a conditional jockey's handicap hurdle for one of the better bets. But when I was going back through the stats of these, there were 3 horses that stood out to me. Sarasota Star, Pavlovsky, but he hasn't run at Cheltenham before, and Bashful Boy, who also hasn't run at Cheltenham before. So because of all of that, I've landed on Sarasota Star, who is around a 12 to 1 shot for the Martin Keithley team, who have obviously had a fantastic summer this summer. Again, I don't like the stat that Andrew has given us because Ben Godfrey takes the ride and does not claim in this race. But this horse, he's a 5-year-old, he's run within the last 8 weeks. Just for 2 hurdle wins to his name from his 10 starts over hurdles, running off of an ideal weight here of 10 stone 11. And he's already run at Cheltenham twice, haven't gone to plan, but he can be forgiven for last time out at Cheltenham. And he's at least had a sighter at the track, unlike many of his rivals here. So Sarasota Star for me as one of my better bets of the day, at least anyway. But we're all going for some big plays in this race, or at least set an each way perspective. So that is a positive. Hopefully we can keep that trend rolling into our next race, which is at 2:20, which is a handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 3 mile 1, and a race won last year by subsequent King George winner Frodon. So already we're potentially getting some pointers here as to some big races in the main bulk of the season. And top weight in this race this year is Cloth Cap, last year's Ladbroke Trophy winner. And with Frodon winning this race last year of a mark of 164, it's not inconceivable that Cloth Cap can win this off a mark of 156. But do you side with the class angle, or do you look for something with that is potentially better handicap, Daryl?
I don't really know. I suppose probably something unexposed that's probably been missed by the market. Well, that's sort of angle I'm going for here with Cool Mix. This is a horse I put up at a ridiculous price for the Scottish Grand National, over 4 miles. He had been running. He's only prior to that run. He'd only run over 2 miles 7 furlongs. He was running over 2.5 miles and 2 miles. It just looks like a one-paced galloper to me. I thought he ran really, really well there to finish 5th. He stays really, really well. Of course, he does. I'm surprised they haven't gone up and tripped with him a lot sooner. His 3rd was behind York Hill. He's 2 pounds lower here. He's completely unexposed at the trip. This is definitely the distance he wants. He's placed on every start off the back of a break, albeit they have come over much shorter distances. I just think he's one that could have a little bit of untapped potential at this 3 mile trip. His last victory was actually beating Sky Pirate at Wetherby 4 starts ago, and obviously Sky Pirate is much higher in the weights now, so I wouldn't take that form too literally. But I thought he had a fair chance of what was a wide open race.
Yeah, definitely so. And even in that run when he beat Sky Pirate, he had the current favourite market leader Storm Control back in 3rd as well. So good form line to follow in that, certainly. So Cool Mix at 12 to 1. So nice each way price there for a horse that definitely stays. Andrew, how do you see this race?
I'm going for Just Your Type for Charlie Longston. They won this race 5 years ago, Cool Log. And this one goes really well when fresh. 2 years ago, he won by 18 lengths on his seasonal debut, albeit in a match. Last season, he may have won first time up, but he raced at right-handed Carlisle, hated the track and jumped out to his left, lost a lot of ground. Did really well to finish 5th, being about 10 lengths. He came out next time and won quite convincingly. So a horse who tends to come good at this time of year, went fresh. Yard had won it before. I just thought there were a lot of ticks in boxes for Just Your Type. And I noticed he's 14 to 1 into 10 to 1 today since I looked at this race this morning. So he'll do for me.
As you say, he has definitely been backed, in this morning. So Just Your Type, horse number 13 for Charlie Longston there in the 2:20 at Cheltenham. And I'm trying to get my best bets out the way early, really, in this podcast, because I found this weekend very tricky in the main. So the horse that I really, really like in this, I was narrowing this race down to Cloth Cap, Domaine de Lille, Go Another One, or Trucker's Lodge. But the horse who I really, really like, and I think I may decide by the end of the pod, but I think I'm going to put up as my nap, is horse number 3, Domaine de Lille, because he won over 3 mile 2 on his latest start. That also came at Cheltenham, which is a huge positive for this race. This is his reappearance start, another positive. He's rated 149. He's carrying 11.5. He is an 8-year-old. He has a nice price as well, around 10-1 to go with his chances here, should the weight prove telling for Cloth Cap in this race, because I do think it's going to go to a class angle rather than the unexposed. So hopefully Domaine de Lille meets that happy middle ground here. That's horse number 3 in the 220 at Cheltenham. So I thought I'd better get that out of the way early on. Hopefully he'll go on to bigger and better things. So we're going to move on to our third race at Cheltenham. This is a race for the 4-year-olds in the form of a 2-mile hurdle. We only have the 4 runners though, and Tritonic currently heads the betting as the even money favourite. But is this an early season prize for the taking for Alan King, Andrew?
No, this is probably one of the worst favourites of the weekend, Tritonic.
Nice.
And no one's arguing that he's a good horse, but he tends to race keenly. He's going to need a big field and a strong pace, I believe, to be seen at his best. I can't believe anybody would want to back him at even money. You've got a couple of interesting ones against him. I like to move it. The pace angle, 3 from 3 in fields of 10 or fewer runners. And his record in Class 2 or lower company, 3 from 3 as well. I mean, you go back to Tritonic, his small field record, fields of 7 or less, 2nd of 5, 6th of 7, 2nd of 4, 4th of 7, often at short prices. Now, Stepney Causeway's got another one with a great chance. Slight concern at the moment. At the time of recording, Dan Skelton 1 from 32 in the last fortnight. And, his only winners coming the Utoxeter bumper. It didn't look particularly deep. I know it's early days and we've got Friday's Cheltenham racing to come. So hopefully there'll be some more positive signs with the likes of Third Time Lucky, before we get to see his Saturday runners. And again, you look at Stepney Causeway on the flat and over jumps, can't operate right-handed or on straight courses, 0 from 4. It's 5 from 5 left-handed under both codes. Done really well for the Skelton Yard. He's had yet another wind operation. But yeah, Stepney Causeway, and I like to move it. I'd much rather take that pair. I mean, even 2 shots, the 60-61 outsider. This one looks capable of winning races. Probably not until we see him go handicapping. But you look at the speed figure he got from race form for that 3rd at Hexham last time out. Puts him bang in contention here. So, beware of taking a short price about Tritonic. I think he'll pull hard on his return to hurdles and finish 2nd or 3rd here.
Oh, wonderful. Taking on the even money favourite there, and as well with Tritonic giving weight to his 3 rivals as well, which is very interesting. Daryl, do you also take him on at the head of a market?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
wonderful.
Stepney Causeway comes off best of the weights as well in receipt of that £8 from Tritonic. The one I like Stepney Causeway. The one concern I've got with him is that the fact that he can be quite keen as well. He was very keen at Ascot when he was behind Tritonic. But look, Andrew just said that was a right-handed Trac. I thought he did actually quite well to finish where he did in that particular race. He's just improved leaps and bounds. That was his debut that day. He's improved leaps and bounds since then. I think his rating around 137 is about right. I think Tritonic is obviously a very good horse or a decent horse, but I do think the Adonis has been blown up a bit too much. The form has not really worked out at all. And I know everyone was really impressed from how the way he quickened from the last to the line, but he was still half a second slower than Calico and Cape Gentleman in the Dovecote. I think your eye is flattered to deceive a little bit on that occasion. I do think he's likely to improve, Tritonic. He's not one just to write off on a speed figure basis. But I had it between the pair, and I didn't think that there was too much between them. And the 11-4 even money price tags, I think, are just far too big. So I would definitely side him with Stepney Causeway, hoping he can make it a good start for Dan Skelton. I would just say about Dan Skelton's form quickly. He did say that he's focused on quality over quantity this year, and a lot of his horses that he's had running, have been running in some low-graded, summary races, and I just wonder if he will, like Andrew said, perhaps take a step forward now. The take a step forward now. They're coming up to Cheltenham and meetings like this.
Yeah, hopefully so. As you say, the fact that they had said at the start of the season that they'd previously been running horses throughout the summer to get the numbers up, but actually focusing on the quality now that they've made that sort of bed for themselves that they can go on from there should be very interesting to see if their form does pick up. So both of the lads there taking on Tritonic, the favourite, at the head of the market there in the 255 at Cheltenham. And so we're going to see if that's going to continue into our 4th race, because we're back with the chasers now in this 2-mile handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over, where the grand annual winner Sky Pirate currently heads the betting. And because he's in this race, he's really forced the weights down of his rivals in here. But can the revelation of last season do it again, Daryl?
Yeah, I think he can. St. Calvados won this off 155, Rouge Vif won it off 156. He's 2 for 2 over 2 miles at Cheltenham. I think only All Mankind's the only horse to beat him over 2 miles. He's unexposed. He's only an 8-year-old. 8-year-olds are 3 for 6 in this race. Frodon won a handicap, as you mentioned earlier, on this card last year off a mark of 164. I was going through this race and I just couldn't find a way of getting beaten. I know he's not got the best record fresh, but those runs have all come over longer trips. This 2 miles is obviously his ideal trip now. I just honestly couldn't find a way to get him beaten. I really couldn't. I thought the market had this bang on. I thought before midnight would be the biggest threat to him at the top of the market. I couldn't have Belagas. I just don't like his action. I really don't like his action. I think he's better going right-handed. And I thought it lacked a bit of depth. I thought this was a great opportunity for Sky Pirate to come out and then kick on for the rest of the season up into graded company after this.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you've just said there with Sky Pirates, and I totally agree that I think that he is definitely the horse we're beating in this race, even off of top weight. Andrew, are you jumping on the bandwagon too? Or
yeah, I'm virtually identical to what Daryl said. Now, at first I thought, John Joe's got a top weight. That keeps Belagas' weight down to a nice racing weight of 10 stone 5 for JP. And then I thought, well, Belagas is probably best right-handed, like Daryl says. It's all Sandown form and Ascot form. And you look at it, you think, well, since he's had a wind up and since he's been cut back to 2 miles, he's had 4 runs, Sky Pirate, 3 wins, and a second to All Mankind at Warwick when he tried to live with him off level weights. All Mankind's gone in again since and is now rated 160. And I don't think the weight's going to stop him at all. I think he's a very exciting prospect. He could develop into a Queen Mother Champion Chase contender this season. The only danger, I thought, was Before Midnight, who, again, like Sky Pirate, is improved for being cut back to 2 miles. Spent a lot of won 2 bumpers for Nicky Henderson and then ended up spending most of his time over sort of 2 miles, 3 or further. Scraped some of a 2-3 once in a week race at Taunton, but all those other sort of 2.5 mile plus runs ended in defeat. And he goes extremely well when fresh. When he's been off the track for more than 6 weeks, he's won 5 of his 10 starts. When he's fresh and running over 2 miles, as he is here, 4 wins and a third at Doncaster. That was in a bumper when he was ridden by a very inexperienced 7-pound conditional. He pulled like a train. He only got beaten a length into third that day. So, I'm quite happy to Dutch the 2 here. Back Sky Pirate, back Before Midnight, and do the reverse forecast. Happy days.
Oh, wonderful. Simple as you like. Perfect. But so I like that idea of the forecast there, but we're all in agreement over Sky Pirate being the best horse in this race and should be able to live with it in a handicap. And then, as you say, hopefully, if he wins this impressively, can go on to the Tingle Creek, then be a champion chase contender. So absolutely wonderful. We've got the whole season sewn up. No more questions, Your Honour. Right, the 4:05 at Cheltenham now. This is our final scheduled race at Cheltenham. And this is a Temps qualifier. And we absolutely love these races, don't we? Trying to see who scrapes into 6th place to qualify and not damage the handicap mark. And for those wondering, yet again, I have checked that it is, again, 6 places that you have to run into to qualify for the Temps final at the Cheltenham Festival. So if you're playing the long game, bear in mind who finishes 6th in this race. And currently, Gordon Elliott has the market leader here in Tullybeg and is perhaps trying to target an English Temps qualifier as we have more of them. So they do very often work out as less competitive than the Irish qualifiers. So is that plan going to pay off here, Andrew?
I don't know, don't care. Miss me out. That's not, I'm playing my get out of jail free card. If you found 50p in the street, put 25p each way on. To be fair, at least this one's going to be trying. It's an 11-year-old, and could be quite happy to win a 13 grand prize. But the whole concept's quite ridiculous that you just have to finish in the first 6. It encourages cheating. What they should do is say that we'll spin the wheel of fortune in the paddock after the race, and it will say 3, 4, 5, or 6, and that's how many places immediately get you in there. So at least there's a bit more value in finishing closer. So,
and the best turned out already automatically gets in.
Yeah,
exactly. Why not? I like that angle as well. So I haven't got a clue. Pass.
Wonderful. I like the ideas of a new initiatives here to get yourself into the Temps. Daryl, apart from the best turned out initiative, what angle are you taking into this race?
Well, it's not really an angle, to be quite honest with you. I sat down to go through this race and I thought, yes, come on, let's have a good look at this. And then I read Temps network qualifier and I thought, the one, I suppose, a little bit of an angle you could take into this is that Gordon Elliott said that Tullybeg has to have good ground. He wants good ground, and he is a chaser for the future. So they said that they're going to get another run into him and probably put him away for chasing next season. Now, I'm not one to listen to what trainers say, but that is interesting in the fact that he may well be here to win this race with an aim to go chasing afterwards. He could also finish 6th in this race, put him away until the spring, a bit of good ground comes up. All of a sudden, he's got a Pertemps qualifying entry, and he goes and runs in a Pertemps. It's very, very tricky. Like Andrew, I really don't like these type of races. I thought Tullybeg would have been the most likely winner. He's rated 136 in Ireland. He runs off 140 here. Jordan Gainford takes 3 off, so he's effectively only a pound higher than his Irish mark. So much for those handicappers. Treating them harshly. I think Born Patriot is interesting, but I think he's likely to be the sort of plot for the season. He's sitting around that sort of mark where you think, yeah, you want to go careful with him because he could have future targets. I didn't really like the race. I'll put up Tullybeg as a tentative selection, but no money will be being spent on this race. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do not blame you whatsoever. Like you say, as soon as you see Pertemps qualifier in the title, it just it's so unattractive. But if you like to play the anti-post specials, then you might see one that's an eye catcher. We've always got a few talking horses out of these qualifiers that people then want to side with and think they're a plot job for the Pertemps, and it doesn't work out most of the time. But still, it adds a bit of interest anyway. So we will swiftly move on from that. Now, I'm going to throw it back to you, Daryl, for anything else from Cheltenham that we may not have covered.
No, I've got nothing from there.
Wonderful. Andrew, yourself?
Nothing from me either.
Perfect. Yeah, but to be fair, we have covered most of the races, it does feel like, at Cheltenham. Anyway, so we will move on to Newbury. I'm going to start in the 2 o'clock here. We're going to start with the Group 3 Horace Hill Stakes for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. And this is a very interesting race with plenty of pointers to be taken out of it for next season for these 2-year-olds, you'd have thought. And the market is currently headed by Noble Truth, who looks to have everything in his favour, potentially apart from Stall 1, which doesn't have a great record in this race. But is that going to be enough to put you off here, Andrew?
Yeah, interesting race, this one. I mean, I was looking at Light Infantry, who was very impressive at Yarmouth, coming from off the pace to win on a day when most of the winners were prominent, clocking a good time in the process. How will he be ridden, though? Because this race often goes to a prominent racer or a front runner, as most straight track races do at Yarmouth, at Newbury, unless they're headwind affected. And you look at last year, the close up 20 to 1 second made the running, and that's now rated 85. Go back 2 years, Impressive was placed at 16 to 1. That one's now rated 67. So front runners can often outperform their odds here. So although I quite like Light Infantry, I was looking at American Star at a big price, who left his race in the stalls at Newmarket last time, just played up beforehand, missed the break, never in contention. He's 2 from 2 on good to soft or softer going. He's a course and distance winner from the front. And you go back, you look for the last time the front runner was not in the first 3 or 4 here. You have to go back a hell of a long way. So, I mean, Noble Truth's another one who could lead. He was second to Angel Blur at Longchamp last time, the Group 1 company. Angel Blur, of course, runs in the Criterium International at Saint Cloud on Saturday before this race. That's at 12:58. So that's a chance to frank this form. The Hannon horse, who we haven't seen since winning at Haydock in May, that's a sort of filed under could be anything. There's a little nibble for that into 12 to 1. But at the prices, I just want to be with whoever's likely to be up at the pace, who's likely to go on the ground. And at 40 to 1 American Star, I thought was worth a tiny each way interest.
Yeah, definitely so. Course and distance winning form as well. And with that experience, at about 40 to 1 is definitely not to be sniffed at whatsoever for horse number 1 there, American Star. Daryl, do you also take on the favourite here, or do you think Noble Truth is a good thing?
No, I do take him on here. I really like this horse, Noble Truth. I think he's a gorgeous horse, but he just doesn't do himself no favours. He can be far too keen in his races. Last time was interesting in France, where they just decided, right, okay, we're not going to bother holding on to him anymore. We're just going to let him go and see what happens. Just ran out of steam towards the finish. It's a similar type of run at Doncaster the time before, when only beating Hoya Mao by a nose. I think Hoya Mao is the strongest stayer here. I really do. And I was torn between Hoya Mao and Light Infantry. I'm a bit concerned about Light Infantry. I was really impressed at Yarmouth. I really was. But I just wonder, he was so inexperienced that day. and this is going to be a hell of a good clip, I think, early on. I'm going to side with Hoya Mal just because I think he's just rock solid. He won't have any issue with the ground. He stays further than 7 furlongs. He's got the form in the book. There's not a lot really not to like about his chances. And I found it very difficult to strike him off my list. Whereas Noble Truth, Keenness, Light Infantry, I'm probably being a bit harsh with experience, maybe. Dubai Poet, I don't think will like the ground. Cresta won't like the ground. And then you're out to the likes of Andrews, American Star. So, yeah, I thought Hoya Mal was the one to be on.
Yeah, so kept coming back to Hoya Mal there, and with the Andrew Balding juveniles going as well as they have done this season, you can completely see the angle there, and at a point bigger as well than the favourite Noble Truth. So a couple of selections to take on the favourite there, who we all do respect at the same time in the 2 o'clock at Newbury. We're going to move on to the next race. This is the 2:35, and this is the St Simon Stakes, the Group 3-3-year-olds and over a mile 4. And we have another short price favourite in this race in Siskani, who is also drawn in 1, actually, which again won't have a fantastic record in this race, but it is yet another where Charlie Appleby has the short price favourite, but he is the highest rated and getting weight from his rivals here. So does that make him hard to beat, or do you take him on at his current price, Daryl?
I think it does make him hard to beat, but I do want to take him on because I do like the chance of Max Vega in here. I just think this horse has been running over the wrong trip. I absolutely slated Max Vega for when he was favourite for the Newmarket race behind Naif Road last time over 2 miles. I just think that they've ran him over 1 mile 6, 1 mile 6, and 2 miles, and I just don't think. I think they've watched the visual impression of the race and thought that he stayed the trip, but I don't think he does really stay the trip. Now, in the E-Board, he was going past a lot of horses that were coming back. He didn't get a clear run, but the best part of that race was in the middle section of that race when he tried to quicken up, and he just couldn't sustain his run. It looked like he did sustain his run. It looked like he was closing, but he was just staying on at one pace. There's just the last time he ran at Newbury was over 1 mile 5.5 furlongs here in the Jeffrey Freer. He was just outstayed by Hookham by 2 lengths. Now that alone is the single best piece of form in this race.
Yeah.
And coming back to Newbury is definitely going to be ideal for him. The drop back and trip is definitely the key to him. His only effort over this trip was in the Derby, so you can put a line straight through that. But I just thought the return to soft ground, back at Newbury, drop down in trip. I thought there were lots of positives for reasons for him to go well. Now I think he's been shaping with considerable promise in his last 3 runs, but I just don't think he's been seeing out the trip. He was already winner in the Zetland as a 2-year-old. Now I'm going back a bit, but as a 2-year-old at Newmarket on soft ground. I just think he's got plenty in his favour. He's against a lot of exposed types in here, other than Siskani. So I've got 1 horse to beat, and I'm getting about 9-2 to do it. I just thought he was a bit of value at the prices.
Yeah, definitely. So as you say, at the prices, if you can get 5-1 about him in some places, then Max Vega, if he can just revert back to his best form and over this trip, looks a big player in this race that might just be slightly forgotten about or overlooked. Andrew, do you also take on Siskani, or do you respect him as even money favourite?
Yeah, just on value grounds. I mean, we're talking about heavy ground here, virtually unraceable. I mean, I think the meeting might have been in danger a day or 2 ago, and we lost this meeting a couple of years ago, I think, because of waterlogging, and it's going to take some getting. And I'm looking at the 2018 winner, Mirando. And so I could see, I like Max Vega, I like Mirando. Daryl's gone for Max Vega, I'll go for Mirando. Maybe have a saver on Max Vega or a little forecast for the pair. But Mirando, again, he's won twice in October. He likes the mud. I mean, they even deemed good to soft ground unsuitably quick for him last time out and pulled him out. I know he's got placed form over sort of mile 6, and he tends to stay on whatever trip he runs over, but he's just going to power through this ground, and I think he can put his stamina to good use under Sylvester de Souza, and at 8-1, nibbled in from 10s, he'll give you a run for your money, I think.
Yeah, as you say, both of your selections have been nibbled in there this morning as well. Max Vega and Mirando there for Andrew have both been subject to some market support since the market did open earlier on. So a couple of value chances there against the favourite in that 2:35 at Newbury. So they are a scheduled race that's done at Newbury. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Andrew, for anything else from Newbury, please.
No, nothing from me, Kate.
Yep, not at all. And Daryl, yourself?
I'm just checking. No, nothing from me.
What were you just checking for? What was that for?
No, I've got a horse. I thought it was a Newbury. It's not. It's a Doncaster.
Oh, fair enough then. Well, we know where to come back to for Doncaster. Any other bets then? Completely fair. So we will move to Doncaster then. And we now have our Group 1 of the weekend to cover. This is in the 3:15 at Doncaster in the form of the Vertem Futurity for 2-year-olds over a mile, where we will certainly have some classic clues for next season and plenty of market moves for the next season's classics as well, you would have thought. This race won last year by McSweeney, but we have another O'Brien runner at the head of the market in Luxembourg, who's unbeaten from his 2 starts so far. But you have the more experienced and solid, perhaps form horse in this race in Royal Patronage, second in the market. So, Daryl, do you side with either of the two at the head of a market, or do you look elsewhere?
Yeah, I think Luxembourg's a very, very, very good horse. I think his performance at the Curragh last time was the best I've seen all season from a 2-year-old. You can pick holes in him. He has got a high head carriage. You know, he's a bit inexperienced and whatnot, but he's got push button acceleration, and it was just so impressive to watch him get one tap with a stick and just clear away from his rivals. I thought he was very, very good there. You could tear the form up to bits a little bit, but just on a visual basis, I think we're really looking for a standout 2-year-old. There's not one in this race outside perhaps him or perhaps Sissoko for Donica O'Brien, who's been well supported in the market this week, who also won at the Curragh last time. It's not a race for me to get involved in. I'm going to watch it with a keen interest towards next year's classic clues, obviously. But Luxembourg would be the selection. I'll just give a quick mention. He's not really a price now. I mean, when he was 9-1 during the week, I thought Bayside Boy was a bit too big of a price, because he's definitely going to appreciate this step up and trip to a mile. He didn't get the best of runs behind Native Trial last time either. So I thought he was worth upgrading that performance. But I think this Luxembourg could be just out of the ordinary. So, I'll sit out this one.
Oh, definitely so. No, and as you say, Ballydor, they could do with a standout 2-year-old sign off the season with, really, couldn't they? So, Andrew, do you agree that Luxembourg may well be the horse to be taking it forward for the classics then next season?
Yeah, I think so. I'm like Daryl. It's first thing I did at this in this race was try to find faults in the form of Luxembourg and chinks in the armour. Couldn't find anything. Ended up thinking he's probably going to win, or at least go very close. And if there was an each way alternative, it would also be Bayside, who's been very consistent and will probably have the running style that's generally better suited to Doncaster, coming from a little bit further off the pace than at Newmarket last time. I'd imagine Royal Patronage will set the race up for the closers, and there's 1 or 2 other pace angles in the race. And it wasn't really a race that I wanted to get involved in financially, a bit like Daryl. So Luxembourg, my token pick.
Yeah, so a couple of real positive mentions there for Luxembourg, but not necessarily from a financial perspective to be getting involved with. But as we were saying earlier on, if you do like your anti-post bets, then maybe trying to find any sort of price about Luxembourg then for next year's Derby or Guineas or such like, then you may want to be backing him now before, if you do expect him to dot up as the market suggests here, then Luxembourg, we're hoping to see a good winner then for Aidan O'Brien in the Vertem Futurity, the Group 1 there at the weekend. So we'll move on to the next race at Doncaster. This is the 350, the listed Doncaster Stakes, back again for the 2-year-olds as well, but this time over 6 furlongs, where the experienced Flaming Rib currently heads the betting. So, Andrew, do you side with experience, or are you looking at an unexposed runner here?
No, I'm going with the unexposed angle and Deodar for Rafe Beckett. I was really impressed by this one's Newbury win. Now, he stuck to the stand-side rail throughout that day. That was the first race, I think, on the straight course. And so everyone said, you want to be high, you want to be down that stand-side rail. Everybody else who tried that route later in the race finished out with the washing. And after a few races, they were all racing down the middle, as they normally do at Newbury, and avoiding the stand-side like the plague. I think Ocean Murphy went solo on one of them and, got beaten about 12 lengths. When you look at later on, there was Al Suhail, in that race where the 3 Godolphin runners battled it out. Al Suhail was drawn highest of the trio, switched to the stand side, looked like he was going to get there or at least finish second, and he virtually stopped. So I think Deodar did extremely well to win from where he did that day, and he can take another step forward by winning this.
Yes, so Deodar taking on the favourite there. So Andrew going for the unexposed angle. Daryl, do you agree, or do you side with the experience?
No, it's another very strong vote for Deodar.
You two in agreement today.
Yeah,
this is unlike the pair of you.
Yeah, I quite like Deodar as well. I think the form has worked out pretty well with Witch Hunter back in second. The third is was only narrowly beaten by Hierarchy at Salisbury the time before that. The time figure married up quite well with the 7 furlong races on the card as well. I thought the trip was probably on the sharp side, so I thought a bit more cut in the ground might suit Deodar. It was all under hands and heels, entitled to improve. I thought the Favs probably had a bit of a hard season coming here. He did well last time to make all the running at Chester, but it does favour those front running. Time before at York, he only touched off Pocket Rocket by half a length. That form subsequently ties in with Deodar actually through Witch Hunter. Now it's a very loose form line, but it does tie in with Witch Hunter. Pocket Rocket was miles behind Witch Hunter. I just think Deodar wins, and I think wins well as well.
Oh, wonderful. So the pair of lads there again agreeing on a selection, taking on the favourite with Deodar, horse number 1 there in the 350 at Doncaster. They may not have agreed in the fashion stakes there for how we were going to film this show today, with Andrew voting for the However, we'd much rather them agree on their runners and their best bets, at least anyway, rather than their attire. So there we go. And now we're going to move on to the next race at Doncaster. This is our final scheduled race, at least. Anyway, I think we've been making pretty good time in this. So thank you so much for sticking with us. This is the 420 at Doncaster and 0 to 105 handicap for 3-year-olds and over 5 furlongs, which looks a wide open contest. The betting would tell you that in itself. Plenty of horses coming here in good form, though. But Daryl, back to you. Who wins this race?
I'm going to take a stab at 2, but I'm pretty sure one of them's going to win. I napped Illusionist. I just want to get my ego rubbed a bit. I napped Illusionist at 20 to 1 at York last time.
Nicely done.
When he won, he was one of the only. Well, he was the only horse to finish in the first four to come from well off the pace in a track that favours front runners. Only a £5 rise for that. I thought that was very, very lenient. Completely unexposed over 5 furlongs as well. 5 furlongs on soft ground. Form figures 1, 3, 2, 6, 5. Now, working in reverse, the 5th was in the Windsor Castle in 2019. The 6th was behind Art Power at Royal Ascot in the Holyrood House Stakes of a mark of 92. The 2nd was a short head defeat to Live in the Moment at York off 89. The winner is now £15 higher. Mm-hmm. And the 1 length defeat when not getting up off a mark of 90. And then obviously the latest win. I thought Illusionist had a lot more to come. Ideal conditions, soft ground, 5 furlongs. Going to be a good clip on here. Like Spell Astronaut, Copper Knight. I think it's going to set up really well. I don't want to abandon Illusionist. The way that he passed horses in that final furlong at York was just really impressive. Mm-hmm. It's not like they went overly hard up front either. So I'm going to stick with Illusionist here. The other one I do want to back is Lahore. Now, Lahore is a horse that our producer or our boss, Ross, put us onto, actually, for the Air Gold Cup a while back and a couple of starts back. But I thought Lahore did really well behind Illusionist at York last time. Beaten 3.5 lengths. That was a step back in the right direction. This horse dropped well down the handicap. Is £11 lower than his last win and is £6 lower than his last win here at Doncaster. It's 3 for 5 at Doncaster. So I think he could be running to form just at the right time. This is the right track. These are probably the right conditions. The connections suggest that he wants soft ground. I'm not entirely convinced that he does want soft ground, but I'm willing to take a chance. He's definitely well handicapped off a mark of 90 here, rated 103 as early as June, so as late as June. So I thought, having a stab at them too, I thought we'll have the winner there.
Nicely done. Yes. So, like I say, Lahore around a 91 price at the time of recording, and also a vote for Illusionist. So hopefully double up for you with a best bet as well on that back of that win at York last time out. So a couple of selections there for Andrew. For Daryl. Andrew, back to you for this race, please.
Yeah, I've got a couple of selections as well, but completely different ones to Daryl. It's amazing how often the winner of this race has come from one of the 3 highest draws. And Zargun, even though he faces competition for the lead, I thought could go well from stall 15 of 15 for the Scott Dixon yard. The Dixons have had 4 horses start at odds shorter than 18 to 1 in the last fortnight. A second by neck at 14 to 1, and 3 winners, 9 to 1, 6 to 1, 5 to 1. Zargun was one of those winners at Catterick last week when he looked to be in another race where there was lots of early pace on. Indeed, he got taken on for the lead, but he still managed to hold on and win quite comfortably. The second and third came from well off the pace, so that was a run that marked him up. If he gets rolling down that near side rail, and that is the place to be, as it often is on late season Donny ground when the middle's been cut up after being raced on all season, then he could go well. And the other one was Zimbaby for Mick Appleby. Now, she's not had many opportunities over 5 furlongs. The last time she raced at this trip, with cut in the ground, she finished second, a close second at Catterick in the spring off a £3 higher mark. And the only time she raced at Doncaster, she raced in the listed Wentworth Stakes over 6 furlongs. She was 40 to 1. The ground was quicker than ideal, I think, and so she's finished third. So I think the Zim Baby unexposed at the trip, big price as well, I would imagine, and Zargan. Go with the Zeds.
Yeah, so all the Zeds then for Andrew here. Yeah, so all the Zeds and all the middle to high draws, but whichever angle you want to take in, either way. Yeah, Zimbaby at around 16 to 1, and also for Zargan there in stall 15 at around 7 to 1. Has just had a few nibbles in from 8 to 1 as well. So we've got 4 selections there in what is a wide open 5 furlong handicap at Doncaster to finish off our scheduled races that we have to talk about. So Andrew, I'm going to go back to you for anything else at Doncaster, please.
Yeah, one of my strongest bets of the week, perhaps the nap, will be Masked Identity in the 1 o'clock for Mark Lockdown. Now, this was a horse I often tipped up each way last back end when trained by another yard, and Sean Keithley's yard, and goes really well on soft ground or heavy ground, and loves straight tracks as well. Now, his 5 best Racing Post ratings on turf have come on straight courses. He caught the eye at Nottingham last time out over a round mile, finishing second at 25 to 1. Came from off the pace on a day when it paid to be prominent. The winner and the third were up there throughout. And he's £9 lower than when finishing 5th of 19 behind Zip over course and distance in the mud last back end. So lots of ticks and boxes for Masked Identity. The kind of horse who, after travelling really strongly, occasionally gets run out of it when you think he's sure to win. Maybe that was more to do with Josephine Gordon than anything to do with what's between the horse's ears. So yeah, let's go Masked Identity in the 1 o'clock. And Scott Dixon's got 2 other runners as well. I mentioned how the yards form. He's also got Gio.CO.UK in this 1 o'clock race and in the 4:55 Ebury. So just keep an eye on those as well.
Yeah, so a couple of Scott Dixon runners to keep an eye at keep an eye out for there at Doncaster, but also the most confident bet, and I'm hoping to go back for you for the nap then for this weekend in number 5 Masked Identity in the 1 o'clock at Doncaster. Daryl, anything else from you at Doncaster, please?
Yeah, it beats Rocks in the 205 at Doncaster. Again, another big price nap that only managed second behind Sunray Major, who went off favourite for the what was it for? What race did he go favourite for last week?
What at Leicester?
No, Sunray Major.
Oh, sorry, Sunray Major. Oh, sorry, yeah, he went off
the Balmoral, wasn't it?
Balmoral,
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm losing my mind there. Yeah, went off favourite for the Balmoral. Obviously disappointed there, but it beats the Rocks. Was given plenty to do behind Sunray Major. I felt like Kieran Schumacher could have just taken his gap the first. If he'd have took the gap the first time, I think he would have finished closer than the 2 lengths suggest. But Abel Kane was back and forth. Has come out and won since. I think it was a big run from Beats the Rocks. Unexposed, a couple of starts ago as well, was finished well clear of the field behind Silent Escape, who went on to win a listed contest next time. Up a pound for the last run, Ascot. I think this horse is very well handicapped off a mark of 87. Hoping to get a win out of him before the season's out.
Wonderful. And I love the pure bog pronunciation of Ibiza as well. It beats the Rocks. You've been listening to that song too much as well. Who was that? Who sang that? I can't even remember now. Yes. So that is Ibiza Rocks there, number 11 in the 205 at Doncaster. So Daryl, back to you for anything from anywhere else. I don't know if there's a race we haven't covered yet.
No, just there is in St Cloud.
Very well done. We're going international. Yeah.
Yeah, just one in that 12:58 Andrew mentioned earlier. I haven't seen any prices yet, but I'm very keen on Ancient Rome. I thought this horse did remarkably well last time behind Angel Blur and Noble Truth to come from the position he came from. So I think he's got a bright future.
Yeah. So Ancient Rome, their number 5 is here. I haven't got a show of betting yet, but for Andre Fabre in the 12:58 at Saint-Cloud, the same race that Angel Blood is running in. So Andrew, yourself, anything else from anywhere else, please?
No, that's it for me.
Yeah, fair enough. So all there is left to do is to get your nap. So Andrew, I feel like we know where we're going with you at least. Anyway, is it to the 1 o'clock at Doncaster?
Yeah, I was toying with Just Your Type in the 220 at Cheltenham, but I'll go to Donny in that opening race and Masked Identity.
Yeah, Masked Identity, number 5 in the 1 o'clock at Doncaster. Daryl, your nap, please.
Oh, I was torn between Max Vega and well, all of them really. Let's go for Ibiza Rocks in the 205 Doncaster.
And he's sticking with it. He's holding tough there with Ibiza Rocks. Right, that is a perfect nap then. And my nap is going to be Domaine de Lille in the 220 at Cheltenham, because I was tempted to go Sky Pirate, the fact that we all agreed, but no, I'm going to go with the bigger price one there, Domaine de Lille in the 220 at Cheltenham. So that is everything for us this week. As I say, I think we have made this through in pretty good time. So a huge thank you to the lads for all of their hard work and through all of these races. Another big thank you to SBK, of course, our sponsor, and a big thank you to you for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this weekend's racing. Hopefully the tweed will be donned there for all of our viewers, as well as Andrew is so fashionably demonstrating himself. So enjoy this weekend's action, and we will catch up with you again next week.